B1 family, welcome to Blacklogic. We understand that the border crisis has captured most of the nation's attention. We have caravans and migrant groups going to Boston, Detroit. We have overran cities in New York and Chicago. Democrats are eagerly blaming Donald Trump for this crisis by the way of him not trying to sign or support, rather, a bipartisan deal. But I believe there's more to the story that we really need to define, because as people are interviewing border patrol agents, it's important to understand that the border crisis, according to them, didn't suddenly emerge under Trump administration. We've been dealing with this for years, one of the border agencies said. Border agent said that Democrats conveniently forgot that loopholes in the immigration laws have encouraged illegal border crossings well before Trump took office. And I, on my broadcast the other night, and you can reference that right here on one of my cards, how immigration reform back from 1986 provided loopholes that liberals, Democrats have left open in order for them to exploit holes within the immigration policies here in America. Now, Democrats accuse Trump of separating families. Let's not forget that the legal framework enabling this has been in for decades. We must hold Trump accountable if he's going to write policies that are somewhat inhumane of ripping families apart. But how can you rip families apart when Obama signed DACA, which allow immigrant children to stay in the country and then tether their parents into out of that country by the way of that reform? This is important, family, because as I said before, and I'm gonna keep beating the drum on this is coming to a city near you. Now, before we really get wrapped up into the video, family, I want to hear some words from my sponsor. And I don't have any sponsors, by the way, so I'm just clowning at this moment, but this is very informative.
Are nothing, I'm telling you, nothing compared to the daily amounts of people that we saw coming in through Ellis Island.
No doubt about it. Our border is secure, and we're in the midst of a humanitarian crisis, and we have to fix a broken system.
Wait,
and
you think it is secure? You think the border?
He could not believe his ears, could he not? He could not believe his ears. He said, wait a minute, whoa, the border is secure? Now, listen, family, we have to understand, you're going to see a couple of black people here, and we have to understand these are bought and paid for bootlicks. There's no doubt in my mind that these people are being paid to shield the crisis that we're going through. So you can't take their word to be accountable, okay? For my non-black family as well. Let's see if we can get back into this.
No doubt about it. Our border is secure, and we're in the midst of a humanitarian crisis, and we have to fix a broken system.
Wait,
and
you think it is secure? You think the border is secure?
Do you call it a crisis?
Well, I don't call it a crisis, but it can become one.
Would you assess the situation at the border right now as a crisis?
We need immigration reform, and the border needs to be fixed.
Is it a crisis?
It is imperative. I mean, it's unfair to all of us.
Anyone who states that this administration does not have a handle on this crisis, they must have been sleeping under a rock.
We're on a good path at the border under leadership of President Biden.
They want to say, what about the surge? Well, first of all, just gut check, stop. Anyone who's using the term surge around you consciously is trying to invoke a militaristic frame.
We have been seeing this flow of humanity from Central America since 2014. This is not a new phenomenon. It has gotten worse over the last 4 years. In fact, that's why you saw former President Donald Trump using every medieval, cruel policy possible. The fueling of that xenophobia, that racism, that hatred of the border, that fear of the border, there are consequences to that language and that rhetoric.
They are rolling up their sleeves and working on this. I think it will get better in the next few months. If it doesn't, I will go to them and say, you got to do better. And if they don't, I will be public. But I got to give them a little bit of a chance because they inherited a big, big mess created by Donald Trump.
The Biden administration has this under control.
I'm sorry, family. I'm just flabbergasted. I know that you're flabbergasted just by hearing this rhetoric that they're pointing out here. I know that you guys are just astonished of what you guys are hearing, because I'm blown away by the fact that they are blaming Donald Trump, who hasn't been in office for 3 years, but no one is bringing up any policies that President Obama has signed, DACA. And I'm gonna keep bringing that up because here's my thing. It's about truth. It's not being a Republican or conservative or a Democrat or liberal. Whoever the blame goes to, that is what we anoint them with. That is what we bless them with. That is what we adopt them with. That is what we label them with. We don't just blame people because we don't like them. We don't blame them because they may seem or are xenophobic. They may seem or are a bigot. They may seem or are racist. Whatever your take may be on it. I have a different take than most people, but nonetheless, we can't just blame people for a crisis that he had no hand in it. If anything, from my research, it seemed as though he was trying to stop the potential crisis that was going to occur under his administration that was already generated and started from 1986. And then Obama came in and signed legislation that speeded it up a little bit or a lot when it comes to illegal immigration. So please stop trying to do the fearmonger thing of the boogeyman, Donald Trump, AKA the Orange Man. I am just tired of the rhetoric. I am tired of the lies. And these things need to be essentially called out, because it's time out. Let's really talk about the border crisis and the blame game that's being played by the Democrats. You probably heard it before. They're pointing fingers at Donald Trump for not supporting a bipartisan immigration bill. You guys will hear about this immigration bipartisan bill that's rolling around Congress and the House and the Senate. But what's exactly in that bill? More funding to Ukraine and Israel? Seriously, let's break it down. Now, before we dive into this, let's get one thing straight. The crisis at the border didn't magically appear out of thin air. You must watch my last night broadcast where I break this down systematically with research and evidence, because this has been brewing for years, and Biden policies have only poured gasoline on the fire. Remember when he halted construction of the border wall? Yeah, that wasn't exactly a smart move, but it was the most liberal or democratic or maybe the more humane thing to do. We keep talking about this as a humanitarian crisis, like we didn't see this thing coming. Oh, it's a pandemic. It came out of nowhere. It's an epidemic. It came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. Everybody foreseen this and they were trying to stop it. And see, and there goes the whole catch and release policy, which basically tells illegal immigrants, hey, come on in. We'll figure it out later. Come on in. We got enough room for everybody. We want Venezuela. We want Guatemala. We want Honduras. We want Nicaragua. We want Costa Ricans. We want Colombians. We want Haitians. We want Chinese illegally. We want Indians illegal. We want everybody in the country illegal. And guess what? We'll figure this thing out later. Because this so-called bipartisan immigration bill, let's get into it, family, very quickly. Let's get into it.
So really, it's time for the Daily Debrief. Let's get right to it. Forget about House Speaker Mike Johnson versus the Freedom Caucus. It's Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell versus former President Donald Trump. That's the divide in the Republican Party. McConnell and other Senate Republicans are looking for a way to advance additional aid for Ukraine. But that move is opposed by Trump and other conservatives. Trump's campaign has only emboldened his stranglehold on the GOP. And Trump has told Republicans not to negotiate on the border. But it's a decision that has caused the supplemental aid and border talks to completely break down.
Yeah, we have to talk about it, family. Let's talk about this. It states that former President Trump told his supporters during a rally in Nevada that he is fine with being blamed for tanking the bipartisan border bill currently negotiating in the Senate. And as I stated before, what's in this bill that Donald Trump just simply can't support? And as he stated in the Hill, that money is going to Ukraine as well as Israel to fund their foreign wars. It also states Trump, the current GOP frontrunner, appeared to welcome the potential blame he could face in successfully persuading Republicans and Congress to tank the bipartisan security bill. Donald Trump, like, yeah, go ahead and blame it on me. This blame it on me. It's okay. Everybody wants to blame me for everything, so keep blaming me. And I understand. It states that a lot of senators are trying to say respectfully, they're blaming it on me. I say, that's okay. Blame it on me, please. The words of Donald Trump. Trump joins House Speaker Mike Johnson in slamming President Biden, who on Friday said he would shut down the U.S.-Mexican border when it becomes overwhelmed if Congress manages to pass bipartisan border legislation. And if given the authority, this is Joe Biden, I would use it day one. I signed the bill into law. That must be the biggest lie I've heard all day, because you have had 3 years to create a bill. And as I stated before, Elon Musk didn't say it first, family, okay? There was a lot of people saying it. I probably was one of the first person, but I won't take credit, okay? Because people gonna beat me up in the comment section. But I stated the power of the executive order. If Congress try to pass legislations to invalidate that executive order, the president then can veto it. So stop playing games. You have all the power you already need. Trump said that if Biden wants to secure the border, he doesn't need to pass legislation. I did it without a bill, Trump said in Nevada. Then December, the number surpassed 300,000, according to the United States Customs and Border Patrol. He can and must take executive action immediately to reverse the catastrophe he has created, Johnson said. These are the words of Donald Trump. These are the words of Joe Biden. The question is, why are they trying to blame Donald Trump for the border crisis that they have created? Now, let's talk about some policies when we get into the thick of things. Look at this, family. We're talking about a bipartisan deal. As of February 1st of this year, a bipartisan deal is expected to overhaul the U.S. immigration law and provide more than $100 billion for a global security package. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, that's real good. That's real good. They can have enough money to continue to build the wall, put more agents on the wall. This is going to be great for America. This is going to secure America. And then you read the Dignity Act of 2023, and that this is what they would like to relinquish as a bipartisan bill that includes the following: legal status for an undocumented who have already lived in the United States, the possibility of earning citizenship, new pathway for asylum seekers, new legal pathway for economic migrants, as I told you, economic migration, reduce immigrant visa backlogs. I mean, all of this is to help immigrants get inside the country. I mean, illegal immigrants to get inside the country, not legal, but illegal immigrants to get inside the country. I'm not understanding how is this securing the border. Immediate green cards for individuals who have been waiting for more than 10 years, raise country-specific caps on green cards from 7 to 15% on total annual limits. Then they have a slew of other benefits and fast-tracking this so illegal immigrants can become United States citizens and no longer the citizens of their nation. This is just remarkable.
In a rare bipartisan solution from the U.S. Senate, lawmakers say text of the final bill is probably around 200 pages long and will be released this weekend. Let's bring in ABC's Ike Ajachi on Capitol Hill. So, Ike, what new details are we learning about this possible deal?
Well, Whit, the bill is expected to include adjusting the rules for who qualifies for asylum, even allowing migrants to work while their asylum cases are adjudicated. President Biden would also have the ability to shut down the southern border if the number of migrant crossings reaches a certain undecided threshold. Now, the bill also expected to include funding for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, part of the president's $100+ billion funding request that he made to Congress back in October. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the package could reach the Senate floor as soon as Monday, but can they get the 60 votes they need? There may be less support among Republicans. Former President Donald Trump has publicly slammed the deal, telling lawmakers to oppose it. And this is all happening as the House is expected to vote as early as Tuesday on whether or not to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
This is really remarkable because last time I checked, we have had our own problems right here at home in America. We have had our own problems right here at home in America, have we not? We are prioritizing foreign aid over securing our own borders and taking care of our own people. It's mind-boggling to me. And here's the thing, when those illegal immigrants start to caravan and ship and flown their way to Boston, where did they go? To a majority black city. Where are they on their way to next? Detroit. But let's reel this thing back in. Let's not forget about Biden's track record when it comes to illegal immigration. This guy has been solved on the issue from day one. Remember when he rolled back Trump's Remain in Mexico policy? Yeah, that was a disaster. And then there's this whole debacle with the Haitian immigrants at the border. Instead of enforcing our laws, Biden administration was handing out snacks and bus tickets. It's unbelievable. But here's the kicker, folks. Before we get into anything else, I must play this for you guys.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil.
Wow.
24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody will benefit from it, every single American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different. And
Family, it's serious out here in the streets. Let me tell you, we have to be very cognizant. We have to be very aware of the political figures that we're putting inside of offices. No more fear mongering. No more the lesser of two evils. Here's my thing, and a lot of people don't like my stance on voting. If there's nothing on the table for foundational Black Americans, and I expect every group of people to be this way inside of their mind. Because guess what? This country is the most powerful, richest country on earth, right? I mean, we know that the Qatar dollar is probably 3 times the amount of the American dollar, but we control our own currency being a monetary sovereign, but we have enough money for all these other things, but we don't have money for foundational Black Americans. We don't have money for cash payment reparations. We don't have money for homelessness. We don't have money for mental healthness, but we have billions of dollars to support illegal immigration. I said it, to support illegal immigration. See, while Biden and the Democrats are busy blaming Trump, they conveniently forget to mention all the laws and policies they're supported that have contributed to this crisis. They made it clear where their priorities lie. And it's not with the American people. It is not with the American people. So next time you hear something blaming on Trump for the border crisis, remember the facts. The Biden policies have only made things worse, and it's time for him and the Democrats to own up to their mistakes. Because we need real solutions. Not empty rhetoric and finger pointing. Oh, it was Trump. Wait a minute. Didn't Trump help secure the border? Didn't he enact legislation to at least slow down illegal immigration? And for a certain point in time, didn't he stop it? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Joe Biden is doing all what he can in order to secure the border. So let's go into deeper detail about what's in this so-called bipartisan deal. This is the words of Joe Biden. Far too long. We all know the border's been broken. Really? We've known the border's been broken? I couldn't tell. Because you haven't done nothing about it in 3 years. It's long past time to fix it. That's why 2 months ago, I thought you had 36 of them. But anyway, I instructed my team to begin negotiations with a bipartisan group of senators to seriously and finally address the border crisis. For weeks now, that's what they've done, working around the clock through the holidays and over the weekend. So let's be clear. What's been negotiating would, if passed into law, be the toughest and fairest set of reforms to secure the border we've ever had in our country. It will give me, as president, a new emergency authority to shut down the border when it becomes overwhelmed. News alert, Joe Biden. The border has been being overrun for the past 3 years. Wait a minute, when did you get into office? Oh, 3 years ago. The border has already been overran. Further, Congress needs to finally provide the funding I requested in October. Which October? 2023 October, 2022 October, or 2021 October? I'm asking for a friend. This includes an additional 1,300 Border Patrol agents, 375 immigration judges, 1,600 asylum officers, and over 100 cutting-edge inspection machines to help detect and stop fentanyl out of our southwest border. Wow. Now you want to stop drugs. Now, Governor Abbott said in one of his press release at the border that he found 10 IEDs right across the border. Where do you think those IEDs were going? Why IEDs at the border? Why IEDs exist? To kill and hurt people, right? So why they're at the border? Where do you think these IEDs were going to go? I don't know. I'm not speculating. I'm just asking questions, correct? Securing the border through these negotiations is a win for America. For everyone who's demanding tougher border control, this is the way to do it. If you're serious about the border crisis, pass a bipartisan bill now with signing. I'm serious about the border crisis. I am. That's why I'm not supporting you. You haven't done anything for this country, and you haven't done anything for Foundation Black America. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about, family. I have no idea what they're talking about. You're not going to get me, because on that news clipping that we saw all those Democrats trying to avoid the fact that the border is being overran, avoid the fact that the border is this free for all. Let me tell you what the black people in that video represent from the foundational Black American class if there were not immigrants or tethers. Let me just show you what they're doing for their Democratic masters. They're buck dancing for their Democratic masters. That's right. They're Democratic shields trying to uphill the wall and veil of democracy by the way of lying for the Democratic Party and their crony Joe Biden. So there you have it, family. This is Blacklogic. Listen, we're going to stay on this topic until we can get this man out of office. Because at this point, family, listen, some of us, no tangibles, no vote, I'm on the train. But for others who just want to get the information and you want to get the truth, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button, because here we're not going to hold any cards back. We're going straight for the jugular. And as I stated before, reference the other videos in the description, as well as the end screens and the cards as well. Thank you for joining me here today. Be one.